Good evening and welcome to the BAK Talk, bros. I am the K in back keys, and on this episode, our 19th episode of BAK Talk, we will be talking about the Chiefs taking down the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl 58. So stay with us. Hopefully, Gooch and Aaron drop in here, and we might have a couple extra guests for you guys, and we're going to go ahead and hit that intro.
Y'all ready for them Chiefs? Y'all ready for them Chiefs?
Well, good evening once again. This day started out as a day of celebration, a day of happiness. And unfortunately, as the day has went on, it has just become a more and more tragic day with various shootings going on, and especially the one at the end of the Chiefs celebration. We want to take a moment of silence as we begin. We know, or at least all the reports I've seen have confirmed at least one person has died, and reports vary a lot as to how many people have been wounded, how many of them have been children. There's just a lot of things that need to get sifted through. And so, right now we just have no idea other than that we want to take a moment and just keep all of the families, all of the bystanders, everybody who was there in our thoughts and our prayers. Obviously, a moment of silence doesn't change what happened. It doesn't heal people. But nonetheless, if there's a way that we can take to be cognizant of what happened and not allow these things to become something that we focus on one moment at a time and then go on with our lives, which I know can be easy to do and be overwhelming to not do. I think if we're honest, we're bombarded every day with things that just use up our emotional energy, our mental energy, which in turn zaps us of our physical energy. And so we want these things to be something that we allow to impact us individually so that we can come together as a collective and address all the issues, not single issues, not scapegoat issues, not just enter into misguided fights, but that we can all come together as a collective people and addressed. But right now, we're going to take a moment of silence. I know Aaron and Gooch, if they were here right now, that's what they would be wanting to do, and maybe they'll want to do it again when they're able to join us. But for now, You know, I thought about texting the guys and seeing if we wanted to postpone this episode. You know, this is an episode that we wanted to be a joyous episode, one that maybe we wanted to be a loud, boisterous episode, and maybe it'll still be that way. But you know, obviously there are bigger things in the world than sports. We use sports, ironically, as a way to cope, to distract ourselves from these things. Um, but yeah, the Chiefs are Super Bowl 58 champions. I don't know about you guys. It's been a heck of a ride this season. Um, I don't know. You know, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy when you think about all the dysfunction on this team. Um, William, Daryl, glad you guys are with us this evening, and those who are watching but not commenting. You know, we're going to celebrate the Super Bowl. I don't know about everyone else. Hopefully hopefully the Chiefs players sober up a little bit. Um, I'm not sure if they ever stop their party from Sunday night the way some of them looked this morning, but um, yeah, you know, this was an interesting game. It was one that I wasn't sure how it was going to end. You know, and that's not a Patrick Mahomes statement. Um, Patrick Mahomes, the legend of Patrick Mahomes grows every year, every week, every game. You know, I don't know. This game felt like on offense. It felt like we went back to the first 15 weeks or so. Like we went back to the first 15 weeks offense. Um, Kurt Warner broke down first half passing plays for the Chiefs, those that didn't include plays like screens. Um, he broke down the second half. I haven't seen a video yet for overtime, but my takeaway from what I saw was that this is Matt Nagy's offense. At no point have I ever been able or willing to say that that's not something Andy has done, but this looks like an incompetent offense. Not necessarily incompetent players, although there was definitely, if you guys watch the Kurt Warner's breakdown videos, you guys will understand what I'm talking about here. It looked like every single issue from before the Bengals game in this Super Bowl. until the middle of the fourth quarter or so. Like, there were only about 6 to 8 pass plays and regulation that Kurt Warner broke down that looked like competent, smart plays. Like, I find it hard to believe that this offense was architected. Is that a word? By Andy Reid. This looks like Matt Nagy's crap work. And I've defended Matt Nagy at times this season. I don't think it's really on him to make sure that all the players are disciplined. I don't think that what we need is a 1-for-1 Eric Bieniemy replacement. But this offense looks like Andy was letting Matt Nagy call the plays. Like, it was an utterly dysfunctional offense. And it kind of boggles my mind in the Super Bowl that this is the effort you get. This is the route running you get. These are the concepts that you get. If you guys go back, you can watch the videos yourselves. They're like 35 minutes and like 40 minutes or so long. He's breaking down, Kurt Warner's breaking down the plays. There's not very many plays that conceptually look good, that spatially look good. You either have receivers stopping mid-route, you have receivers flattening out their routes where they don't understand angles and leverage against defensive backs, or receivers pulling a Travis and running their own route at some point and taking up space, bringing guys with them that ends up with another receiver covered as well because they went into that receiver space. There was way too much of this in this game. Like, this cannot happen. This was an offense that can only succeed because of how great Patrick Mahomes is. Like, that's it. This is Patrick Mahomes was the training wheels for this offense. It looked so bad that, dare I say, it wasn't even Matt Nagy's offense. It could have been one of the assistants' offenses. Could have been David Girardi's offense. For all I know. Because this didn't look like a competent offensive coordinator, head coach offense. Like, Patrick Mahomes is the savior of this offense. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice are training wheels for what this offense is. And we're not even talking about the greatness of the 49ers defense. They have some great players. Fred Warner was man-to-man against Travis Kelce a lot in this game. Did a great job of taking him away for the most part. There were still about 8 offensive pass plays. Again, this is not counting screens. Screens, I think RPOs, just like everything else from the passing game. And it just wasn't good. Again, haven't seen the overtime breakdown yet. Special teams was great, except for the return game, right? We we were definitely missing that Kadarius Toney like spark that we had last year in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. Thankfully though, we also didn't have, muffed punts, dumb returns for the most part, but we also didn't have that spark. I mean, you guys know the defense played great. They gave up 22 points in 5 quarters against a really good offense, right? We're talking studs, 2 stud wide receivers, right? Both would likely be number 1 receivers on a lot of teams. One of the top 3 tight ends in the game, the best fullback in the game, who's really like a 1B tight end in the passing game, and the best running back in the game, who's also a hell of a pass catching running back. So the offense, our defense against their offense, to only give up 22 points through overtime is crazy. It's just crazy. But yeah, I don't know what happened with the offense. It really looked like Matt Nagy was calling the plays, like this was his offense. Like, I don't know if Andy was just like, Matt and Pat and Travis, you guys, make this your offense, because it was not pretty. You can get away with a Travis Kelce finding the space on plays when they break down. But when you have all of your receivers doing what Travis does, it just becomes like a disordered chaos. And yeah, I'm being critical about it because this game was made. Listen, they needlessly turned the difficulty up to all Madden for this game. A competent offensive coordinator with wide receivers who competently knew how to run their routes could have given Chiefs fans the score that they were most likely expecting than the one they got. The fact that we put up 25 points with how badly designed and badly executed most of the offensive passing game is mind-boggling. And at first when I heard that Steve Wilkes got fired, I thought this was kind of a scapegoat for Kyle Shanahan's decision making. Excuse me. But after watching how bad this offense looked, I'm starting to think that maybe there was some legitimate questions being asked by Kyle Shanahan. Because maybe you shouldn't give up 25 points to an offense that was basically Patrick Mahomes making plays and Travis and Rasheed making plays. Just enough of them. Not that many, but just enough of them, and making them at the right time and making them at the end. It's weird. Yeah, we found out that Patrick is a regular quarterback. And to be fair, like I said, part of that, I think he looked that way, was because whether it was Andy or Matt, somebody had this on all Madden for no reason. It's just frustrating. It's just utterly frustrating. But We're going to celebrate the Chiefs won. Unfortunately, though, the celebration just isn't the same today. Yeah, Daryl says MVS has been trying to reach out. He's been trying to get information for that. It seemed like there was a about a dozen kids, so he's probably going to have a hard time getting that information at the beginning, but I'm sure that families will get something set up, and then everybody can I'm sure there will be a way for everybody to contribute however each person is able. Daryl says it was a radio host that got killed. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been getting moment to moment updates. I just got back from Valentine's dinner with my wife not too long ago, so earlier reports are the ones that I had. Yeah, it's not a pretty situation. I don't want to comment on it too much just because I've seen like some mixed things, and so I'm not sure what exactly the full on motivation or any of that was, but it's super tragic. Daryl says time to three-peat. It's interesting, and I wish Gooch was on because I know that we could have let me readjust here. I know we could have a fun debate, but we can have it here in the chat. Like, what do you guys think? Because I've seen a lot of former players, a lot of the guys that are, on TV, even some of them who have doubted Patrick Mahomes, just like very matter of factly say, hey, listen, after this run and winning this Super Bowl, like they're ready to call him the GOAT right now. And we're not talking Chiefs fans, so we're not talking, homerisms here. We're straight up talking former players in the national sports media kind of area, and they're throwing the word out now. It would be interesting. I would be interested to hear what other people think about if Patrick Mahomes leads the Chiefs to a three-peat. Is that enough to push him to GOAT status in most people's minds, keeping in mind that he could completely shatter every single thing Tom Brady has done in his career, and the Brady stands and Patriots fans will always need to find a way to discredit anything and everything that he will have accomplished. They will have to delegitimize everything Patrick Mahomes has done. Hey, Dan Andrews,
Hey, Keys, what's up, brother?
How's it going, Dan?
Did anything happen over the weekend in sports?
Yeah, the San Francisco 49ers beat regular quarterback Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
So yeah, it sounds fantastic. I'm actually in Denver. I'm ruining Denver for every other Chiefs fan by being the world's biggest asshole, yelling cheat. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. No, yeah, I'm actually outside of Denver, a place called BAK Talk. It's absolutely beautiful here. Having a lot of fun. Thanks for letting me come on. I'm just so geeked out. I mean, I'm a football history junkie, and I'm not sure the average fan can really appreciate how rare and unusual what it is Kansas City's doing. Like, we're gonna bring this dynasty up with the Packers and the Steelers and the Niners and the Cowboys, and it's just so much fun. I'm just so like, we're a part of it, and the thing is, every Super Bowl game is better. My buddy, he's like, oh, I hope it comes down to a kick or a last second score, and I said, that's because you're an asshole. I want to see 63-0 at halftime. I don't want this. I want a blowout, and he got his wish. And I mean, 3 Super Bowls. Each one is a better game than the next. Like, I mean, how do you top this? I mean, I don't. Can the 4th Super Bowl win just be like 38-0? Like, I don't have to worry. Right. I took 8 showers. All right, I took 8. I'm not saying it's all me, but yeah, I took 8 showers. You're almost beardless, which you look great with a beard. You look great without one.
I shaved my head and my beard at halftime.
Oh, well, wow.
Yeah.
And showered, so I got home right before the game, and it was hard because I had to eat, shower, and shave while I know the game's going on, and I'm just like losing my mind. When Mahomes threw that interception in the 3rd quarter, I switched pants, and then 3 showers in the 4th quarter, 2 in overtime. So it looks like we did our part, Keys. Kansas City owes us a round of thanks. We went through it. It's a struggle. But here's the thing: like, the second shower I took, I get out of the shower and I just hear screaming in the apartment complex. I'm like, oh, I guess we won, huh? Well, I mean, but so it's a little anticlimactic. But I mean, let me ask you this: like, okay, you watching the game live, was there really any doubt anyway? Like you knew Mahomes was going to win that game. I mean, and I didn't know the overtime rule, so I was like, I would be freaking out if I didn't know. I found out after the fact that the clock is not a factor. It was just there for looks. It's a play clock. It's just pretend, whatever. But God, I mean, what a great time to be a Chiefs fan. I mean, and I hope people can appreciate this, because yeah, you have the Packers in the 60s, Steelers in the 70s, Niners in the 80s. I consider what the Bills did a dynasty. Most people don't, but 4 straight Super Bowls, it's impressive. Cowboys, and then, if you're me, it's be what, the 7th, but or 8th. Doing, hey, I'm here in Denver. I'm all goofed up, but but I mean, it's rare. I mean, it's rare. Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl, big fucking deal. The Rams won a Super Bowl. Who cares? This is we back to back. I actually think it's a dynasty, even if we lost. But it's just such a great time, man. I really hope people realize how special and rare and unique this is. And I really don't think people do. I really don't think people do. I really don't. But
Yeah. Well, I would like to take credit for it, but for me, I had to collect myself at halftime. I just about my battery on my watch just about died because it was constantly giving me warnings or whatever they are that my resting heart rate was high. So like whenever it gets past 120 and I'm resting, like I'm not, up walking or exercising or anything. If I'm just sitting there and my heart rate gets to like 120, 122, 125 or something, like it'll go off, and it kept going off. And I mean, I don't know. Can I
he's just
do this?
risking his life,
I don't know if I should do this. I probably shouldn't do this. I don't even know if you guys can see it.
The door. I see a door.
I'm talking about the wall.
So I'm on my phone, so I have this very tiny. There's probably a better way I can do this because I'm not using the StreamYard app. But there's a little thing here. It looks like a hole.
I don't think I can zoom in. That's a hole. I hope my landlord doesn't make this check.
Keith, you punched a hole in the wall? You?
I haven't punched anything while watching a Chiefs game since I think Super Bowl 55. But
God. It's funny. Out of the two of us, I would expect me to be the more likely one to break something. So that's just me. That's just me. But yeah. So but I hope Chiefs fans can really appreciate how special and unique and rare this is. And we're gonna talk about this Chiefs dynasty 30 years from now, 40 years from now. It's going to be, and we're going to talk about which team is better. And it's kind of funny though. I was thinking about it. You know what every great dynasty has is a great head coach, great quarterback, and a great defense. And the first two, you can debate about whether they have a great defense or not. But this team has a great defense, and it's exciting. I mean, I'm an old school guy, so I mean, I love the fact that we had this great defense that just kept us in the game when San Francisco's defense was really doing a pretty good job. I want to get your guys' opinion on it. How do you guys feel about the Greenlaw injury? Greenlaw. The Greenlaw injury was terrible. I feel terrible for the guy. But I also wonder, how much of an impact did that have on the game? I think it did have a big impact. I think the Chiefs win anyway, but I mean, what do you guys think? Would San Francisco have won with Greenlaw? You think if he was healthy?
I mean, and before I go to Gooch here, speaking of franchises, Fred Warner was on Travis Kelce a lot in this game. I wonder at a certain point how much Greenlaw would have been out there. Especially when we were in the passing game, how much more would he have been out there, and who would he have replaced? We're replacing a DB with a linebacker.
No, they had that other linebacker. They had two guys I've never even heard of before. And I mean, both those guys, I really thought that the Chiefs offense really opened up a little more and was able to do a little more with Greenlaw being out. But I'm not somebody who says, I don't like blaming injuries. And you found that special needs 49ers fan who was like, "Oh, this holding call, if that would have been called, the game would have been different." And it's like, really? There's only one bad call in the game, and the announcers nailed it. The announcers like, that's not a touchdown. The lineman's 6 yards downfield, like, and it's a non-challengeable play either. You can't do anything about it. But that was the only really blown call in the. By the way, the refs did a fantastic job in the Super Bowl. They get bullied and beat up a lot, you know, but I think they did a great job in the Super Bowl. Give them a lot of credit. It was a great. I thought a really great crew, and except for that one blown call for the touchdown, I thought they did a fantastic job.
I mean, you know, I'm just gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let Gooch talk. When it comes to the refs, and it comes to penalties, and it comes to San Francisco 49er fans,
oh God, they're terrible.
Do not talk about Nick Bosa getting held if you want to know the truth. And I haven't went back to watch all the tape yet. But I can say this with certainty. If you can give me the plays of Nick Bosa being held, I can go back and probably find double that of Chris Jones getting held. This is why teams are not getting the calls. Because if refs call it for the opposing defense, they've got to call it for our defense. And these fans don't want that. They do not want refs equally calling holding calls against the offense, because the Chiefs will come out on top. What they want is for the Chiefs to lose, and they want to blame it. They want to scapegoat it on this, because I can guarantee you that Chris Jones gets held more than any of their precious defensive players do. And if the refs threw a flag every time a defensive player got held, Chris Jones would be racking up more flags for Kansas City's benefit than their precious little defensive player would be for their team. And the game would probably get really boring and really hard really fast, because every 2 or 3 plays, they would be throwing a flag for an offensive lineman holding Chris Jones. So they can shut the hell up on that, because they're just stupid. Now, speaking of franchises, we have Gooch with us. Gooch, how's it going, brother? He might be doing franchise work now.
Well, the Niners fans are complaining. They're just awful. I tried to talk to them 4 years ago, and I never seen. I joined a YouTube show. I'm not going to even give them credit.
Hang on, Dan. First, Kansas City fans know how special and unique I am, okay? So you don't have to worry if they know how special and unique I am. They know. Don't you even worry about it, baby.
Mute button. Where's this mute button at?
Secondly, I think the McCaffrey touchdown wasn't a touchdown, but I'm okay with how little you heard of the refs.
Yeah, I think they did a great job. I really do. I think it was a great job.
If they'd have called, I watched NFL films where they do the whole game and they show everything. Like Shanahan was already complaining about holds at the beginning of the game. So they were already trying to manipulate the refs, and I appreciate that they stayed out of it. The calls that they did make, I mean, you can pretty much agree with them. They didn't call a lot. They let the boys play. And I definitely think if Greenlaw is out there, it's a little – I think the Chiefs still win. I think it's a little harder.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'm just kind of curious how much of an impact. Because I felt really bad when I saw the injury. And I mean, it sounds bad because I'm a Chiefs fan, but you never want to see a guy go down like that. And it was a non-contact injury. I felt bad for the dude. Great linebacker. But Baltimore had a better pair in Raquan Smith and Patrick Queen. They're don't get me wrong, they're both top 5 units inside linebackers, but Baltimore's number 1. I
wanted Patrick Queen in a Chiefs uniform. I really did.
I did too. I'm a big Patrick Queen fan. He's a free agent. Chiefs got to make some free agent decisions here, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I'm really excited about it, but I'm also nervous because we're going to have to let go of Snead or Chris Jones, in my opinion. I would love it if we could get both. I don't think it's realistic, but I'm hopeful.
Didn't you hear Chris today at the parade?
I heard that, and I don't believe it. I think it's a smart strategic move, and I think he's saying that because if he doesn't get the big contract and some other team gets it, then he can turn around and like, hey, look, you guys not love me. I mean, what else do I got to do? And I think it's a strategic move, and and maybe something his agent told him to say. It's brilliant. I mean, it's a brilliant move. And I think they keep him both. Do I believe it? No, I don't believe it. I don't believe one.
I think they keep them both. I think they restructure. I think they restructure. They restructure Mahomes. They restructure Mahomes. It puts them up to about 45 or 50 million in cap space. They give Chris a deal. They give L'Jarius a deal. You let Willie Gay go. You bring back Tranquil on a 1-year deal. Chanel has already been playing better than anybody thought he would, so he can be that other linebacker.
I love. By the way, Keys, I joined in late, and I apologize for that. So I'm staying here at Monarch, and I got comp buffet, right? And they have a world-class buffet. Unfortunately, the line is from here to Pluto. And, it's Valentine's Day. I wasn't thinking. So I had to actually pay for my own meal when I had a free one. I'm kind of pissed about that. I might just hang out tomorrow, even though I'm only here for one night. I may just hang out just so I can do that buffet. I hate paying for stuff at it. I don't know if you guys can't relate to that, but I get comp stuff at casinos, and I hate paying for stuff. But I just had a delicious meal. The delicious meal is one of the best meals I ever had. But I had to pay for it, which I'm kind of mad about. But
yeah, so back to what Gooch said, there's 22 million projected in cap space next season. You restructure Mahomes, you can restructure and net around 35 million from that. So that puts you at 57 million right there. If you cut MVS, that's like 12 million in cap space savings. So that puts you close to $70 million. It really comes down to how they want to structure it, and what each guy takes. I think for sure one of them's getting the franchise tag. I think in one sense, Snead makes the most sense. But in the other sense, and I know this is crazy because I don't think it's a big argument to say that he's the top cornerback in the NFL, at least top 2 or 3. But I think that they can actually replace him, not his full production, but without taking a huge step down with the guys they have. Najee Johnson was a guy before he was injured who all the talk was he had passed Jalen Watson. He had already passed Joshua Williams. He was the 3rd cornerback on this team before he got injured. And it was my belief, because same story, right? Both Snead and Johnson played cornerback and safety. It was kind of my belief that the Chiefs intended to kind of test out what Najee Johnson, was he a capable replacement for Snead? And the injury kind of screwed that up. But you have Chamari Connor, right? You're going to have Najee Johnson come back next year, hopefully completely healthy, where he was. You're going to have Brian Cook come back next year, hopefully healthy how he was. You kind of have a decision on Justin Reed, and you got to make a decision, on Mike Edwards and Drew Tranquil, the guys you brought in on a 1-year deal. But I'm not 100% sure. I still think that they'll franchise tag Snead. One, because it's cheaper, and 2, because he's 3-4 years younger than Chris Jones. But I really think, Veach is going to offer each one of them about the best offer that he has and hope that one of them takes it so he can franchise tag the other one. You know, for me,
that would be ideal. I look at Snead and how multifaceted and multi-talented he is, and I just have a hard time seeing Kansas City do that. The one you pointed out something I thought that was genius is that you don't have to replace Snead with one guy. You can get other guys. Nick Jones was the 7th round pick this year. He's got nice size. Played a little bit. Joshua Williams was playing a little more. That was a guy I was super high on. This draft, if they pick at 32 and they don't move around, there's going to be some good defensive backs. And when I say defensive back, we don't have to take a corner to replace Snead. We can get a safety. There's several safeties that can play like in the slot, kind of like Brian Branch. Brian Branch is a safety, but he played a lot of slot corner, and you could get somebody like that in the draft at 32. And that's kind of like what I think is going to happen. I don't see us keeping both Chris Jones and Snead. Whoever we miss out on, I think that's what we do in the draft. And I think you nailed it with Snead. You don't have to take a corner in the draft. You could take a safety, but we get Byron Cook coming back. We get Nick Jones. What was it? Nasir Johnson.
Nazeeh Johnson, yeah.
Nazeeh Johnson. I mean, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams. We got some really good young guys. But
I don't think you lose them. I think you go all in for the three-peat. I think you do everything you can to be legendary, to be the team, the only team to three-peat. And
I would love it, but
it looks like where Aaron Donald started wearing down, it's like Chris Jones is still in the height of his powers at 30 years old. Like,
I don't think there's a better defensive tackle myself right now. And
maybe you don't. You know, maybe it's one of those things. Keys loves those, 3-year, I don't know what, 80 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, give him a chance to get another contract after that. He can go get his real bag from Washington or Chicago or something and finish out his career. But Snead's younger. You pay Snead. You're probably going to get some people that want to come here cheaply anyway. I even think I heard one guy say somewhere, he was like, you find a veteran that would normally sign somewhere 1 year for $10 million, but if he has the opportunity to work with Mahomes and get a Super Bowl ring, you don't think he signs 1 for $6 million? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's possible. I'm just telling you what I think. I think we're going to lose one. We're going to keep one.
Yeah, the problem with your prognostication, Dan, is generally when it comes to the BAK Talk Bros, you are always wrong, and we are always proven right.
I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's right. By the way, I almost nailed the score to Super Bowl perfectly. I had 27-23. That's pretty almost spot on. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be an excellent.
I couldn't watch it because it was Super Bowl Sunday and doing what I do for a living. It was super duper busy, and so I was trying not to watch it. But every 10 seconds, my phone was vibrating in my pocket. And so I pull it out, and it'd be like 37 text messages. So then I'd have to then I'm having to talk about it because I can't see it. And I wasn't going to say anything at first. And so I just looked at them all and threw it back in my pocket, and then there'd be 15 more. So then I finally had to what's going on? So now I'm looking at all these pizzas we got to make and try to get out. I got Keys giving me the play-by-play on the game because I can't see it. And now I'm going through a gamut of emotions, trying to get these people food. And so I'm like, you have to excuse my language here. Like Keys was like, well, I think we were up and I was super excited. And Keys was like, we haven't let them get a first down all third quarter. And I'm like, yes. And then they score a touchdown. And I'm like, forget these people and their damn pizza. I'm going to watch the game. Then I run the gamut of emotions. Keys is like, we win. I'm gonna have a heart attack. I'm gonna have to lose some weight, and I'm like, now I gotta stop and watch the dadgum game. You're gonna have to do this without me because I'm just not.
Listen, I'm actually with Gooch on this one, and I'll throw this out here for you guys. I think that Snead's contract is easier because he's younger, right? To where you can give him a long-term deal, and that first, maybe even that second year is low enough in base salary that's where you're going to front load Chris Jones's contract. And I'll throw this out there for you guys, and you can see what I think. You think. But as I was thinking about a Chris Jones deal, I think you higher the base salary a couple million more than this season, but you really kind of build off of this year's contract, right? Still throw the different incentives in there, pat them a little bit. Instead of $1 million, 1.25 million, maybe you make that 2 million for each of those instead of 1.25. Let him get up to Aaron Donald money, that AAV, through those incentives by padding that and raising his salary floor for the first couple of years or two. Make it two-year contracts, or 2-3 years, kind of like the Trent Williams contract was. It was a 6-year deal, but it was essentially 2-3-year options. Do that with Chris Jones, but maybe make it 2-year options in a way. You can give him the first 2 years. You can kind of give him that heavier base salary and stuff the first couple of years there, because you're going to sign Snead for 5 years, say. The first year is going to be basically nothing. We've seen the contracts that they do, right? First year is like 2 million or whatever, plus the prorated signing bonus, right? The second year, they might add a few more million on there in base salary, or do something that they can convert, as they need. So you could do that the first couple of years on a 5-year Snead deal that's really probably only 3 or 4, based on how his play stays, but definitely 4 at most if they need to get out of it, right? They can do that contract and leave plenty of cushion for the first 2 years to be, big Chris Jones money years, because those are probably his 2 best years that he has left in his contract, right? And that is one difference between Chris Jones and Aaron Donald. Yeah, he's holding up, but he also didn't get to the same ceiling Aaron Donald did. So when he falls, it's not as big as a fall to get to his floor as it was for Aaron Donald, because of how much farther his was, right? So, but that's how I think you do it with those guys. Man, listening, and again, Chris Jones talking about it, his agent tweeting, for the bartender needing to cut those guys off, while Chris Jones is up there talking drunk. Drew Tranquill, on the other hand, Drew Tranquill sounded like a guy who wanted to pay Kansas City to let him continue to play for them. Will he stay or take it? Is he going to chase the money? He sounds like a guy who might actually take a discount to stay in Kansas City. But I know Dan's a naysayer, and I know he doesn't believe anybody will. And I understand most players won't.
I actually think Tranquill might.
He sounds like a guy who really.
Yeah, I think he. And not only that, Willie Gay, I think, is going to go, because he sent some tweets out saying it's probably my last game in Kansas City. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, from a physical standpoint, you want Willie Gay, but what I see on the field, I want Tranquill. And I mean, Willie Gay's like, if you're say, God, build me a linebacker, you're building somebody physically like Willie Gay. But I from what I see on the field, I'd rather have Tranquill. And I think Tranquill we can get for less than what you would get somewhere else. But I mean, we're not getting like, the bargain basement deal. I think he'll make a little more money because I think this year he was looking to be number 3. I think this year he'll be number 2. He'll get a raise, but Willie Gay, I think, will probably hit free agency, and I think some team's going to give Willie Gay a lot of money.
Do you guys think that a team might be a little bit hesitant, though, with off-field issues and injuries kind of plaguing Willie Gay's time a little bit? You think anybody's going to give pause to that?
It's funny. You only need one. I don't know. You remember Bud Dupree? He got a 4-year, like $80-something million deal, and except for the off-field issues, but like on field he's always hurt, and then he goes to Tennessee, and the same thing happened. I think there will be some team out there that'll be like, no, I can work with this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I mean, as a fan, I would love to see Willie Gay and Drew Tranquil come back and just everybody come back. But I know that we're going to lose some guys. I think out of the two, I'd like to keep Tranquil. I think Tranquil will cost less than Gay. And I'll be honest, just from what I see, I'd rather have Tranquil on the field than Willie Gay. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I'm just telling you what I see. I think the team just looks better when Tranquil's out there than when Gay's out there. And I mean, both are good players. There's something about Tranquil when seeing him out there. It seems like he I don't know. He feels like a chief. Like
the thing is that Gay. Remember in the beginning, Gay was struggling with the defensive playbook, and Tranquil doesn't have to worry about that. And it seems more fluid when he's out there, even if he's a step slower than Willie. You know what I'm saying? Like
Willie Gay's a freak of nature physically.
Right. And the thing is like, of course you'd like to see him back, but there are going to be a lot of teams who are going to try and throw a lot of money at all the Chiefs free agents just to weaken the Chiefs, even if it's something that's like, I mean, we really shouldn't spend this much on an outside linebacker. They're gonna. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, maybe we can drag him away and, that'll weaken them. The problem is that we've got so much depth everywhere that, I mean, and Spags is a freaking genius.
You guys saw we extended Spags. That was a brilliant move. Brilliant move.
Which I'm really glad.
I didn't see the details, but I guarantee he's making. There's some head coach out there who's probably making almost the same as Spags. At least I hope so.
Well, the thing is that there's no salary cap on coaches' salaries.
Right.
There is not.
And they don't have to disclose.
A lot of people don't
really
know this, but Clark Hunt's the richest man in Dallas, not Jerry Jones. A lot of people don't know that.
I know that.
You know that. I know that. And I always bring that up. It's kind of funny because like the dude lives in Dallas. He's got a lot more money than Jerry Jones. No, I hope he just unloaded the Brinks truck for Spags. So
I know where his second house is. You know, we party like Kennedy's when we're in the South, baby. Yeah, everybody thinks Jerry is loaded because he comes from oil and the Dallas Cowboys and this, that, and the other. And people forget that Clark is at like 2 or 3 soccer teams, the Chiefs, the oil business. They got their hands in a lot of pies. You know what I'm saying?
The Hunt family trust is quite extensive. It's very extensive. A lot of people don't realize how extensive it is. At one point in time, they were trying to monopolize the silver market. Do you realize how hard that is to do? Do you realize how difficult? They came close. They didn't do it, but it's
I mean, it's hard to have almost as much money as the Waltons. You know what I'm saying? Like it's got to be a sucky lifestyle. I tell you what.
Well, I was talking about this on my show. When Paul Allen passed away, the Seahawks owner, he's founder of Microsoft. His daughter's taken over, and so it used to be Pete Carroll and John Schneider would both talk to the owner, and I could just see somebody who grew up with a $50 billion dad not wanting to listen to a guy like Pete Carroll talk about press man coverage for a couple hours straight, or Paul Allen really wanted to be involved, but hey, I'm the daughter of somebody who's worth over $50 billion. Maybe I don't want to talk to Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll was like, hey, it wasn't football people that fired me. So you kind of I'm kind of reading between the lines. Like, I mean, I can't relate to like being born into $50 billion, but I'm kind of thinking like, hey, maybe she doesn't want to talk to Pete Carroll for 4 hours every day about, the defensive strategies or whatever. Me personally, I would love to talk to Pete Carroll about football, but
Well, we signed Spags. Nagy's going to be back. Joe Cullen's going to be back. Dave Merritt's going to be back. Andy Heck's going to be back. Dave Tobe is going to be back. I mean, are we missing anybody? The only people they didn't really say was going to be back was Brendan Daly, I think.
I'm not sure. I unfortunately haven't been following. I saw some of the Lions coaches leaving. Not the coordinators, but some of the assistants are leaving. Which I
was really concerned about Cullen because other NFL teams wanted to make him the defensive coordinator, and Michigan was trying to get him to come there. And I was like, oh man, after what he's done to that defensive line since he took over 2 years ago.
The defense under the Chiefs over the last couple of years has really transformed because Spags had a very basic NASCAR defense. It's something crazy now. It's like a pseudo 3-4. You don't know who's doing. Look at Leo Chenal. He does everything. He covers guys. He's a defensive end. He's a linebacker. He does everything. I mean, he's doing. I don't even know what to call him because like. One play he's lining up as defensive end. Another play he looks like he's a slot corner.
The thing is, from front to back of that defense, they all can do everything. Chris can play nose tackle and then jump out to the end. Omenihu can play inside and outside. Pennell can play inside or outside. All of our linebackers can either rush or cover. I mean, Bolton's probably the weakest at coverage, but he can still coverage because he's smart. So he knows how to use his angles and stuff. And every single one of our DBs are just amazing for young guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's almost like Spags has been tinkering with defenses since he was with the Giants, and now he's got his Voltron. And for those of you who aren't old enough, Voltron was the very first, okay, not the Mighty Morphin Power Dingers or whatever it was, not your dadgum Transformers, not your GoBots, Voltron was the first.
An awesome cartoon, man. I love Voltron. I thought that was so cool. I liked it. I liked Voltron. We're doing like dated references here, Gooch. Like, there's probably a few people. The way I had my phone set up, I didn't download the app, so I can't see any of the comments. But I think we probably lost some people like with the Voltron reference. But I love it personally. I love it. I'm just glad you guys are as geeked out as I am and understand that this is just a rare, special time. And hey, look, I'm going to be the negative Nelly here, and tell you that we're not getting Snead and Jones, but I hope we do.
Now that you've said it, we will. So I appreciate that.
I may be wrong. I may be wrong, but I don't see it. No,
Keith, I was sneaking in on one of Dan's episodes. I tend to try and sneak in for a few minutes, and then I have to go do some stuff. But I think he slipped up and said you were going to be on KCSN or something like that, jumping on somebody else's show.
TPT. Keys was going to do TPT.
But, not KCSN. Those guys are smart enough, are way too smart to ask me to come on their shows.
KSN, who's
isn't that
KCSN?
Isn't that the other guy that I really kind of dislike?
KCSN?
Yeah, isn't that who's the guy that?
No.
Who's the guy that was
sounds
with
like rumors?
before this new guy.
Oh. You're talking about the guy before Matt McMullen with
Yeah.
BJ Kissel. Yeah. That's KCSN.
You're going to be on their Keys?
No.
I was going to say, I know. Hopefully, I can't wait to watch the TPT episode when you get on. I never got an invite. You know, I had him on my show. He's you know, I'm just throwing that out there. I had him on my show. He doesn't need one. I don't get an invite. Keys does, but you know, it's got to be the beard. It's the beard. You know,
the beard is gone now. So.
I look weird with facial hair, man. Just take my word for it. But I look very strange with facial hair.
You know, I bet you could, if you can grow it, I bet you could do a goatee and you could pull off kind of a similar look to Christopher Maloney. You know who that is? Guy from Law and Order. Yeah. Law and Order. He started out Law and Order SVU. Now he's in a spinoff, Law and Order Criminal Intent.
I watched the original Law and Order, but I haven't watched any of the other ones. But
that's how I knew the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl, because Keys' beard. Keys said he wasn't going to shave it until after the Super Bowl.
I shaved at halftime, Gooch.
Did you? So me and Keys are responsible here. I took 8 showers, and Keys shaved his beard, and then I also switched pants after the interception, so that helps out. Yeah. Here, by the way, you can't prove it didn't. You can't prove it didn't, because the end result, hopefully next year when the Chiefs three-peat, I can do it live, but I probably would have been freaking out doing it live, because I didn't know about the overtime rules and the clock now not being a factor. I didn't realize that, so I was kind of freaking out. So
yeah, I didn't know that part of it either. So
seriously, that kills me. They have been talking about it forever. And Keys, you're one of the few people who's always caught up on all those rules and stuff.
Now, I knew that both got a possession.
I didn't know that,
but I didn't know that the clock was a non-factor.
Right.
And when I watched the game, Tony Romo even said it was there's no rush. They got another quarter to get this done if it rolls over. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's
when I
Romo in certain circumstances
without sound. So I don't hear the commentary. But once I heard him say that, I was like, I didn't know that. So I was freaking out. And then I put me, Keys, and Booth in a group text, and Booth was like, I was freaking out, and Keys gave a great response. He's like, hey man, being Chiefs fans up for a faint of heart, or but
cardiac kids, man.
There you go.
It's so much fun.
Christopher Maloney. You could pull that goatee.
Oh, he's a dude. Yeah. Okay, so
you didn't know who Stabler was? That's Stabler, baby.
I would know him from Oz. I remember him from Oz.
No. Oz was it? Can you grow a goatee like that? Because you could pull that look off.
I cannot pull that look off.
That wasn't. Really, you're thinking about another guy. I don't think he was in Oz.
Huh?
I think you're thinking of that other guy. I don't think he was in Oz, was he?
No, yeah, he was in Oz. He was the dude who broke every bone in Beecher's body.
No, that was the other guy that did the
the
State Farm commercial.
Him and I won't call him State Farm, but it's not State Farm. Farmers Insurance.
Farmers Insurance, yeah.
Yeah, no. It was both of them together that did it. Oz was a great show.
Dan is right, Gooch. Dan is right.
I loved Oz. That was such a great show. And I mean, I kind of want to rant about Oz, but I'm gonna stop because I really like that. Every time I see him do those commercials, I'm like, dude, you're Schillinger, like you're the head of the Nazis. You're not this nice guy doing insurance commercials, but sometimes you see somebody in a show like Iris Urba for years. He's like, nah, dude, you're Stringer Bell, man. I mean, come on, and please tell me you guys know The Wire, one of my favorites.
You gotta be kidding me, man. Avon is the dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love The Wire. The Wire is one of my all-time. I love that show.
Is Double A still sleeping? Because we know he don't care about Liz enough to take her out for Valentine's Day.
Is that what he's doing? He's taking, seriously. I tried to get my free buffet, and the line was so damn long, and I got to eat I eat like a lot of small meals, but I didn't eat anything except for breakfast. So 6-7 rolls around or whatever time it is, and I'm like, I can't wait in line for an hour or whatever. So I had to pay for a meal at a casino, which I feel really like, what's the word, violated or something. But
are we all glossing over the fact that Bertha has Dan in Denver for Valentine's Day?
Say what?
Are we just glossing that over? Because Keys hasn't spoke about it, so I know it's got to be a thing. That Bertha has you in Denver for Valentine's Day. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny. I'm here in Denver today, but Friday I'll be in Vegas. So it's kind of funny. I'm hitting all the AFC West towns except for LA, and I have no interest to go to LA. So I'm doing like
Drew Tranquil.
I'm doing like an AFC West run, really, and no, I was joking around that I'm just ruining Denver for all Chiefs fans by being an asshole, but no, I'll be here tomorrow to get that free buffet. Believe me, if you offer me a free buffet, I'm not leaving here without it. I just don't know if I'm going to do the lunch or the dinner buffet here at Monarch is just phenomenal. It really is. It's world class. It's amazing, and I might wait and get it, but we'll see what happens.
You see, Gooch, Dan has to hit the slots to pay for Bertha's meal, so he needs a place that comps the buffet so that the house loses.
I feel that way, I mean, but I'll tell you right now though, if you ever head out to Denver, Black Hawk is a hop, skip, and a jump away. It's just beautiful out here. If you drive here, whether it's from Denver, because it's a little west, Denver's 5,000 feet, Black Hawk's 9,000 feet. So like that thin air, like you really feel it here. Like it's a real feeling, and it's cool because you drive right into the mountains. There's some mountains just right out there. It's just gorgeous out here. It really is. I wish I can come out more often, but I don't get the opportunity.
So let me ask you guys, we're talking about, we've been talking about three-peat. Let me ask you guys, so I'm going to assume that Dan doesn't believe that there are players that would sign a not like a full-on hometown discount, but sign a little bit less to come back for one more year to be a part of that. So let me ask this question instead. Do you guys think that if Mahomes and the Chiefs can pull off a three-peat, that Patrick Mahomes automatically gets elevated to GOAT status, or that basically he only needs to get one more ring after a three-peat, and the three-peat cancels out a ring or two of Brady's?
Oh wow, that's a great question.
We can elevate that and make it harder. What if they get a four-peat? If they get a four-peat and Patrick Mahomes never gets another ring again, is a four-peat enough that he's already the GOAT?
That's such a great question, and it's kind of like it's kind of like what flavor do you like? Is strawberry or chocolate better, or do you like Rocky Road? I was actually thinking about this because I did a video top 10 quarterbacks of all time. I got Brady as one. And this was a couple of years ago, so I didn't have Mahomes on there yet. And I was like, where is Mahomes on my list right now? And right now, today, I got him at 9, right? Another, a three-peat, which has never been done. The Packers won the NFL championship in 65, and then the Super Bowl was created in 66. So they won 65, 66, 67. If you want to count that, great, fine. I don't. But to do something that's never been done before, it really depends on, if you talk to a Patriots fan, no. You talk to a Chiefs fan, yes.
We're gonna eliminate Brady stans and Patriots fans, because I think, as I said at the beginning of the show, no matter, Patrick Mahomes can break every single thing that Tom Brady does, and Patriots fans and Brady stans will always find some way to try to diminish it and eliminate it. So it doesn't matter a freaking thing, whatever that group of people say. So take out Patriots fans completely and take out Tom Brady stans completely. And we're talking about everyone else in the world as a collective. Because those people don't matter. They're mentally ill.
You'll get a coin flip. You'll get it really. I'm gonna give you right now. You'll get the coin flip. The three-peat is just it's so hard. It's so hard to do, and if the Chiefs do it, then you have to say something about it. I mean, to do something that nobody's ever done before is something. And by the way, okay, so in my list, I had Autogram at 9. I have Autogram at 10. Patrick Mahomes at 9. Autogram's won 7, but the it's AAFC. I'm not how much credence do you put in that? Winning 3, I mean, you do something that's never been done. I was watching something on Brady, and Brady went 10 whole years without winning a Super Bowl. A lot of people forget that. A lot of people think that Brady won a Super Bowl like every year. No, he went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. A lot of people forget that. I mean, 3, God, when you do that, you do something that's never been done before. So it depends on who you talk to. It depends on your flavor.
If we're being objective, I don't think 3 makes him the GOAT, but I think you have an argument either way for Brady and Mahomes, just because he's done something that's never been done doing the 3. I am of the opinion that if he gets 5, the question's answered. He doesn't need 7 because he's already blown away all the stats you could have, even by Brady standards, in the first 6 or 7 years. So even without the three-peat or with the three-peat, I think he needs 5 championships to be considered the GOAT. And again, I hate agreeing with this fool, but Colin Cowherd said the same thing. Russell had 11 championships. MJ had 6. MJ's the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? It's the way that he affects the game, the way that nobody was looking for the next Tom Brady. Everybody's looking for the next Mahomes. And he is probably, I mean, Brady's famous, but Mahomes is probably the first true global NFL star, which is the same thing that MJ was.
So I actually heard try not to pass out to this stupidity, but I had a Brady fan argue with me the other day and tried to say that Tom Brady was Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James all combined. And I don't think the guy understood his own basketball to football analogies, because to me, when you're talking about Bill Russell, you're talking about rings, which are a team accomplishment. Yes, you're a big part of that, but nonetheless, they're still a team accomplishment. And I don't think that can be even the greatest measure of the greatest quarterback of all time, because think about how many quarterbacks you then have to put ahead of Dan Marino simply because he doesn't have a ring. Like in your all-time greatest quarterbacks list, you're going to have 30 guys, 40 guys ahead of Dan Marino, 45 guys.
I got Marino at 5.
You can't use the amount of rings as the standard, right? And you even see that
because then you're saying, and we know that's not the case. Or Joe Flacco,
but I have an idea.
If you did that, you'd have to say Eli Manning or Joe Flacco or Trent Dilfer is better than Dan Marino.
Right, and that's one of my main arguments.
You
can't say that. You can't even, and then you have some people want to bring up head-to-head. Well, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes faced each other twice in the playoffs, and Tom Brady won both times. Yeah, great job. Eli Manning beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. Eli Manning's one reason Tom Brady doesn't have more rings. Big deal. That's not the determining factor. But you can't make rings the determining factor. And I don't think there's a sport other than football with Brady stands and Patriots fans where people do. Because if you look at the list of greatest all-time basketball players, where does Bill Russell land on there? Not number 1, not number 2, not number 3. I don't know who you put at number 4 or whatever, but in any GOAT argument, right, it was once MJ became the GOAT, people tried to, and so this is a little bit why I understand people wanting to be patient with Patrick Mahomes, people wanting to quickly anoint Kobe as the GOAT. And he never even got close to that. But people were trying to go there, right? So he's maybe your number 3, Kobe, and then it became this big argument between Jordan and LeBron. So if you go Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe, and that's your 3 greatest of all time, between the 3 of them, how many championships do they have altogether?
It's like I mentioned about flavors. Like I made my top 10 list. I got Marino at 5, and I feel I almost want to put him. I got Manning at 4. I almost want to put him over Manning, but it's if you're looking at rings only, I just think that you just don't understand that wins are not a quarterback stat. You need the whole thing. And, Brady still had Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time, some really great defensive players, really great for a while. You can go through, matter of fact, I think his second Super Bowl, Corey Dillon was NFL MVP. A lot of people forget about that. He was a big part of that team. So for me, wins, rings or whatever, that's part of it, but it's not all of it. I mean,
right.
But the one thing about this particular Super Bowl though, and I'm stealing this from Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks from Around the Sticks, you have the tractor and you have the trailer as your quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes carries that team to victory, and it's kind of funny because I think the AFC is significantly better than the NFC. Luke G, he disagreed with me, but I'm like, look at the 4 teams in the NFC divisional round. You had Tampa Bay, Detroit, San Francisco, and Green Bay. All 4 of those quarterbacks, they're trailers. In the AFC, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, those are 4 tractors. They're, hey, put the team on my back, you can win a Super Bowl like Eli Manning and just be a part of the cog. So as far as the GOAT conversation, if you do 3, you have to enter that conversation. Getting a three-peat is so hard. It is so hard. I was thinking about this. Like, I firmly believe Niners in 90 had the best chance to do it. And Joe Montana was MVP that year. And they got beat out. Bill Parcells outcoached George Seifert in one of the all-time great games. If you believe in the NFL being rigged, just go back and watch that game, because the NFL wanted nothing more than Buffalo, who won the AFC Conference Championship game 51-3, to play San Francisco trying for a three-peat, East versus West, three-peat against the juggernaut heavy, which a team that might be favored, Buffalo, but the Giants ruined everything.
Yeah, so I personally think there's a lot of factors that are involved, right? And this is largely because Michael Jordan is the GOAT of basketball. And a lot of us grew up in an era getting to watch him play, and we got a holistic picture of what a GOAT looks like. And so we saw a guy with 2 3-peats, and it could have been 7, 8 consecutive championships in a row. If his father hadn't gotten murdered, it could have been 7, 8 championships in a row. The way that they were playing.
They kept that team together, maybe they win 4 in a row. You never know. You watch? I think both of us watch The Last Dance and really get a kick out of it. I'm so behind on basketball. I'm here in Denver. I've seen about 15. He's got number 15. They're everywhere. JOKIC. Apparently, he's like the most popular man in Denver. I don't even know who it is.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how to say it. Nikolai Joseph.
It's
one of those.
I seriously, it's like every other dude is wearing that 15 jersey. So I'm guessing he's like I don't know who he is. That's how behind I am on basketball. I have no idea who like the most popular man in Denver is.
Yeah, but like my point with that is Michael Jordan as an athletic specimen changed the game of basketball. And he did freak things, right? Like, I had my kids watch Space Jam one day, and before I stopped, and I'm like, okay, we got to watch Michael Jordan highlights first, so you guys understand, this isn't just an actor you're watching in a movie. And, you get plays like the one where he's coming from behind, beyond the 3-point arc on a free throw to get the rebound and dunk it in. In addition to, all of the dunks from basically the free throw line. You get all these plays. You get the fact that the man, and here's where it's different for basketball than football, right? The man played both ways, and he had the individual accolades to go with it for both his offense and his defense in an era where they actually still played defense in basketball. And, they still called traveling. An era where you could go up for a dunk and get punched by 2 Pistons at the same time. So he had regular season accolades. He had playoff accolades. He had offensive accolades, defensive accolades. He truly did it all. He had the athletic ability to go with it. And he was the clutch player you wanted to have the ball, taking the last shot. And it's like you take all these different things together, and then 2 3-peats, everything, in there. The time he took off for baseball was really kind of ruined his legacy in a way. It stopped it from becoming even bigger. But regardless, like, you get a full picture of what a GOAT looks like, right? And it's like Tom Brady has the rings. He's Bill Russell. Tom Brady is Bill Russell. He's not Bill Russell and Michael Jordan and LeBron James. To any extent that Tom Brady is LeBron James, it's when he went to a really stacked Tampa Bay team at the end of his career to try to win another ring, right? And you want to talk about like that last ring, lucking out by having your opposing offense lose their whole offensive line right before the Super Bowl. Like, in the history of the Super Bowl, how many times has that happened?
I couldn't tell you when it comes to the GOAT, I used to say it was Johnny Unitas. And the reason why is that in the championship game, he just invented the 2-minute offense. Nobody ever did that before. And they went to the very first NFL overtime game. But what he did on the spur of the moment, he changed the game. And that's why for years I said, hey, do you like modern football today? Guess what? Johnny Unitas invented it just out of the fly, just out of the blue. Hey, listen, we're down by a touchdown, 2 minutes left. Let's just line up. And it's common sense now. Like, hey, you line up, no huddle. You got 2 minutes. But he was the first one to do it, and he did it in a championship game, and they ended up winning. So I always call Johnny U the greatest.
Of course, Dan pick somebody to be the greatest that couldn't throw further than 5 yards.
Johnny U. Oh God, you've not watched Johnny U play. Johnny U had a bazooka for an arm.
No, I know all about Johnny U, but no, I'm not old enough to have watched him play, Dan.
I'm not either, but you watch. But my point is that when you talk about being the GOAT, it's doing something that's never been done before, and that's why you bring up a good point. If you do a three-peat, which nobody's done before, if you're a Packers fan and you want to say 65, 66, 67, yeah, but it's not 3 Super Bowls.
65 wasn't a Super Bowl. You can't count that.
A lot of Packers fans will, but if Mahomes three-peats, then the conversation has you do have to consider him in the conversation. But
if Mahomes three-peats, the version of the Chiefs as you know it is over. Reed retires, Kelsey retires, like it's done.
I think they go until they lose. I think if they get a three-peat, I think they're going for 4. And if they get the 4th, I think they're going for the 5th. I think they will keep going until they lose. Well, if they miss the playoffs or lose a Super Bowl, then that'll happen. But if they win, I think they'll keep going.
Is it's a brutal game, man. Sometimes you don't get to pick and choose when you want to go. Sometimes the decision's made for you, and sometimes it's fast. Like sometimes it just goes. And me and Kelsey share a birthday, so I know exactly when he turns 35. And I mean, you never know what's going to happen. We watch it in the Super Bowl. Greenlaw just jogs on the field, boom, torn ACL. Rodgers steps on the field, boom, torn Achilles. You really don't know. He may not have that option. Knock on wood, he does, but he may not. There's lots of great NFL players that are forced out.
100%. We're talking about of his own volition.
What do you got pulled up here? Points.
So this is defensive points per drive allowed rankings. So these are quarterbacks. It includes Tom Brady on here and Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Jared Goff, Ryan Tannehill, Patrick Mahomes, Phillip Rivers, Dak Prescott, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, and Derek Carr. So this shows
that on the computer. I can't read any of that.
Yeah. So, this is showing points per drive allowed and the rankings for the teams. If you can see the yellow circles on here, those are their teams that won the Super Bowl. And the blue is years that they made the playoffs. So I brought this up because here's Tom Brady's column. Okay. All these years, yellow dots, they won the Super Bowl. 6th ranked points per drive, number 1, number 4, number 9, number 1, number 7, and number 6. Never a year where his defense ranked worse than 9th in points per drive allowed. And that was 1 year. He had 1 year with 6, 1 with 7, 1 with 9. He had 2 years with 1 and 1 with 4. And those are the years they won the Super Bowl. Right? Then there's years they didn't win the Super Bowl, that they still made the playoffs. And you had 3 years they made the playoffs where their defense wasn't great. In Tom Brady's whole career, 3 years where the defense wasn't great in points per drive allowed, and his team still made the playoffs, where you could maybe say he carried his team not to a Super Bowl win, to the playoffs. 2005, they were ranked 22nd. 2010, they were ranked 16th. And 2011, they were ranked 21st. Outside of that, of any of the years his team made a playoff berth, the lowest ranked his defense was 12th. But it had to be top 10 in any year for him to win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady. To me, this is part of what delegitimizes his rings. If you go to Patrick Mahomes, now he has a much smaller column here, right? So playoffs every year. Why we got blue rings here? We got 3 yellow rings, right? 2023 Super Bowl we just won. Defense was ranked 3rd in points per drive. That's the first time he's had one in the top 10. Right? 2022 won the Super Bowl. Ranked 21st. Ranked 21st. Again, Brady never had one worse than 9th and still won a Super Bowl. He only carried his team to the playoffs once at 22nd. Didn't win a Super Bowl. Mahomes won a Super Bowl with the 21st ranked defense in terms of points per drive allowed. Made the playoffs with the 19th in 2021. Made the playoffs with the 13th in 2020. Made the playoffs and won a Super Bowl with the 12th in 2019. Made the playoffs with the 28th ranked defense in terms of points per drive in 2018, which means that Tom Brady got to go up against that 28th ranked defense in points per drive in Patrick Mahomes' first season in the AFC Championship game, while Mahomes went up against the 7th ranked defense in terms of points per game as a first-year starter against Tom Brady's defense. So even in that year, right? And then the other year that they played each other, 2020, Tom Brady had the 6th ranked defense that Patrick Mahomes had to go up against. Mahomes had the 13th ranked defense that Tom Brady had to go up against. So one of the things, pointing out here is like Tom Brady legitimately had a great defense behind him every year he won the Super Bowl, and nearly every year he made the playoffs. He wasn't able to make the playoffs without a defense in the top 12 or so in points per drive allowed except for 1 year in his whole career. Athletically, he wasn't doing great things, right? Like Michael Jordan. He has the rings, which are mostly a team accomplishment. He has a great leadership and mental processing ability on the field. Not discounting those things at all. But there are more categories to being the GOAT, in my opinion, for the quarterback.
Yeah, if you're just putting rings as the primary thing about being the greatest, I've always thought that was wrong. I think that when you do something that changes the game, I did a list top 10 tight ends of all time. I have Kelsey's number one, not because he's a great blocker, but because his stats equal wins. No NFL tight ends had more than 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Kelsey could have had 8, but he took himself out of that final game, which kudos to him. I'll be honest, I probably would have played, but kudos to Kelsey. But he shows up big in the big games. He's not getting stats in garbage time. It's kind of funny because the argument that you made, I would make that as the argument for Kelsey being the greatest of all time, which I do. I think Kelsey is the greatest tight end of all time, and I argued for Unitas' teammate. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here on his name. I'm so embarrassed. So embarrassed. It's the tight end award. It's the award that goes to the top tight end in college football, and I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name.
There's John Mackey for offense.
John Mackey, that's it. Yeah, John Mackey, and I consider John Mackey the greatest tight end. But then I started diving into the numbers, and I'm like, what Mackey didn't help the Colts win multiple Super Bowls. They did win one, but what Kelsey's doing, it equates to wins, and he's doing things that have never been done before, and he's winning games. Every 1,000-yard season is helping his team win games, Super Bowls, playoff games. And then how many times has Kelsey? Ask the Chargers how many times. It seems like almost every season it's a Kelsey touchdown that ends the game, and
49ers defense, 49ers fans, Kyle Shanahan, everyone and their mom knew that mid-fourth quarter through overtime, the Chiefs were going to be looking for Travis. And he still did it.
Can't stop him.
But, yeah. And so I just pulled up another thing here because, this is one of my final.
Kelsey became my greatest of all time tight end when the second name on the list is Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Huh?
So that just happened. He's talking about Travis breaking multiple records that Jerry Rice held for in the playoffs.
Yeah.
When your name pops up above Jerry Rice, you are my GOAT.
Yeah. Yeah. We finally agree on something. 1 hour and 43 minutes. We finally agree on something here. But yeah, I have Kelsey greatest tight end of all time. And the stats equals wins. And what he does wins games.
And when you can do it in 13 less playoff games.
How many go through how many games? You know what? Here's my argument for Kelsey. I think it was 2016. Where we lost to Tennessee. The score was 14-3 late in the first half, and Kelsey's anal raping the Titans. Kevin Byard hits Kelsey. I thought it was a clean hit. A lot of Chiefs fans disagree. Knocked Kelsey out of the game, 15-yard penalty. But right before half, the Chiefs score a touchdown, go up 21-3. With no Kelsey in the second half, they get no points. The Titans come back and win that game. Now, Derrick Henry had 100 yards rushing in the second half, and Tennessee did some really nice things. But here's a team that scored 21 points, and I give Kelsey credit, even though he wasn't part of that last touchdown drive, because He made the play. He caught the ball. Then he got concussed. Then you had 15 onto that, which put them in position to get that final touchdown. But that was it. You're up 21-3 at halftime, and then you take Kelsey out and you lose the game 22-21. That to me kind of sums it up. With Kelsey, you get 21. Without, you get nothing. So,
well, we didn't have the Derrick Henry soul stealer either.
No.
True.
That was the Marcus Mariota. I don't know if you remember, Marcus Mariota caught the touchdown.
The pass to himself, yeah.
Yeah, that was that game. And so what the Chiefs did in the offseason is they traded up with Buffalo and got some quarterback.
Regular quarterback, yeah.
I don't know who he is.
But it's funny because people talk about Travis not being a willing blocker, and yet the whole thing with Andy that's being blown out of proportion is simply because he wanted to be on the field to do what? To be the blocker, since Noah Gray missed his block that led to the Pacheco fumble.
It's the one thing I absolutely love about
the thing behind that. I'm sorry, Dan. The thing behind that is when McCole fumbled in the Buffalo game, Kelsey said, "I let off my block too early, and my guy caused the fumble." And so what frustrated him is that Noah Gray did the same thing on the same play, basically, and he let off his block too early, and the guy got to Pacheco, and Pacheco fumbled. And so he was kind of heated about that and basically saying, like, don't take me out, like that mistake, like I had already learned from, but they're trying to give his 34-year-old legs a rest. You know what I'm saying? But he just let his emotions get away from him. But I understand it. You're like playing in the biggest game in your career,
right?
The Super Bowl, regardless of how many rings you got. It's the biggest game in your career. And you want to be on the field to help your team. And you feel like if you had been there, that fumble doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? And you're just kind of, you're fired up, you're upset at the fumble, the team's not really performing well, you're not performing well, like it just, things ran hot.
Yeah, listen, I think we've all played sports. I think we understand how it is. People who haven't played sports, right? And like, I've seen some really ridiculous reactions to this, but one of the funny thing is like all the trips that I take, and I'm driving high school athletic teams and middle school athletic teams, and I get to sit in a room where the refs come in when they get a break to eat and stuff for like wrestling matches, and I get to hear them talk about kids and the stuff kids are doing and how their parents don't believe that their kid would, my daughter would never bite someone, talking about wrestlers is like, yeah, that's why she got disqualified. It's like, if you've never played sports, you don't understand what can happen in the heat of the moment. And for nearly every person who's ever played sports, we've never played in a moment like that. And yeah, listen, I'm not going to talk anymore about it, but he did want to be out there to block. So it's not that it's not that he's not a willing blocker. But the other thing that I was putting up here for Mahomes, right? This is kind of another Mahomes versus Brady thing, if you want to look at it this way. I don't know who Neil Payne is, but this is from his Substack. Since 2001, there have been 125 drives in the NFL postseason where it was at least the fourth quarter, there was under a minute left to play, and the team on offense trailed by 7 points or fewer at the start, right? Postseason, fourth quarter, less than a minute to play, down by 7 or less points. These are your standard clutch moments for a football team, the do or die drives that win and lose critical games. Out of those 125 drives in the last 23 years, only 40% of them saw the team on offense pull off the magic trick and get the points they needed. Some quarterbacks are pretty good at it, such as Tom Brady, who went 5 for 11 for 46%, right? That's his career numbers because he started in 2001, right? I want to say it was 2001.
Yeah.
So we're talking about from his first year, all, what these stats are collected from. Yeah, he had 3 passes in one game in 2000, but he was the starter in 2001. So since Tom Brady was a starter in the NFL, okay, in his career, he went 5 for 11, which is 46%. Really good. Drew Brees went 3 for 6 for 50%. Better percentage, right? But nearly half as many attempts, right? Tom Brady going 5 for 11 is really good. Drew Brees going 3 for 6 is really good. Only Patrick Mahomes is 7 for 7 or perfect in those dire situations. 7 for 7. He is one away from Brady and Brees combined in those situations. Combined, they have 8 of them. Patrick Mahomes has 7. 7 for 7. Brady was 5 for 11. Mahomes already has 2 more than him and 4 less opportunities. He has 4 more than Brees and 1 less opportunity. And these other 2 guys are your best in those moments. Patrick Mahomes, perfect 7 for 7. You have the athletic ability that maybe people could argue could be rivaled by Josh Allen in one sense, or Lamar Jackson in another sense. Especially, if you want to say Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes as the guys who can make shortstop throws the way that they can, okay, I'm fine with that. You take the regular MVP awards, you take the Super Bowl MVP awards. Listen, I don't think there's a quarterback in the NFL right now that if their team lost that quarterback, they would be screwed as much as the Kansas City Chiefs would. I truly believe that. If Blaine Gabbert had to play 12 games, even as great as the defense is, unless they called a completely different offense, and I talked about this at the beginning of the game, guys, I don't know if you went back and have seen this, but Kurt Warner did his first half breakdown of all the offensive passing plays that weren't like RPOs or screens. And he broke down the second half ones. He's supposed to be releasing one of the overtime. This offense looked like it was Matt Nagy's offense. It looked like it might not even been Matt Nagy's offense. It might have been David Girardi's offense because it looked like they gave it to somebody who had no idea what the hell they were doing. Go back, watch the videos. You'll see what I'm talking about here. Kurt Warner just dumbfounded at how piss poor these plays were designed, which makes me think they weren't Andy Reid plays. I said this in the RGR Discord during the game, because I fight back with people when they try to say anybody but Andy's calling plays. There was a clip at one point where Andy's just standing there at the sideline looking around with the clipboard with his play sheet at his side, and they show Matt with his up and Pat with him looking over his shoulder. I truly believe it. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter. Well, I can tell you what happened in the fourth quarter. They freaking went no huddle. So guess who wasn't calling plays? I don't remember what they did in overtime. But I don't believe this was Andy's offense for at least the first 3 quarters. And I could be wrong on that. You guys go back and look at the play.
The thing is that that same Kurt Warner thing, people that have played for Andy and Matt Nagy have said those RPOs were Matt Nagy's baby. That 4th and 1 RPO for the runs that Mahomes did, like that Matt Nagy pulled that off with Mitch Trubisky when they won 12 games, and he would give Mitch the, like, all right, make the call. So you can't really trash it if he's helping or having a say in that, even though it's Andy's offense. Like, he's just not a glorified play sheet holder or quarterback coach. Like, he's got to have some hand in it. And we didn't really do a lot of RPOs until Nagy was there in Andy's offense.
Listen, Gooch, I have no problem with RPOs. I love the idea of the RPOs. These plays were non-RPO plays, and these plays reflected somebody who did not understand spatial awareness, route timing, or anything. They were bad. There were maybe first 60 minutes of the game, there were maybe, and again, this didn't include run plays. It didn't include screens or RPOs for the most part. It was designed pass plays. There were maybe 8 or 10 that were fairly competent. Whether it was the play themselves or the way the wide receivers ran the routes, the plays did not work. It all depended on, and it wasn't a matter of the 49ers defense. It was a matter of wide receivers that looked like they didn't understand leverage. It looked like plays, and I follow enough accounts that I see, there's an Eagles fan account. Well, he's a coach. So he has all of Andy's plays. He understands Andy's plays, right? Andy Reid plays are like split field plays, and he'll have man concepts to one side and he'll have his zone concepts to the other side. These were plays that were one or the other, and they were piss poor designed. Like, nothing about this breakdown by Kurt Warner of these plays said this is Andy Reid's offense. I think that's why the offense looked so bad most of the game, because it looked like pre-Bengals game. It looked like the offense we saw through the Raiders game that was trash. But we're off on a tangent now, and you guys haven't went and watched anything, so you don't even, you're just listening to me ramble about this. But we're talking about Mahomes, and I'm not saying Mahomes is the GOAT yet, right? I'm just saying.
I was kind of wondering, was that what you're getting at? Is with all your stats and everything? Are you ready to not like, hey, Brady, get off of here? It's Mahomes time.
I'm not going there yet. I think he's a lot closer than Brady fans and Patriot fans would like to admit.
Yeah.
But, I still think, I'm not a huge longevity guy, right? I think that it has a decent place at the table. I think peak performance has a place at the table. I think clutchness has a place at the table. I think you guys are right on with, you have to change the game, impact the game in a certain way. The thing is, and see if I can pull it up here, because I had one more thing, but I don't know if I can pull it up. I think that Mahomes is way closer than people want to admit. And how did I lose this? See if I can pull it up for you guys here. If not, I'll just read this because it's not that much. Because, we get the era argument a lot with Dan Marino. And I'd make the argument that it doesn't really apply to Tom Brady. So this is a list of every year, if I can get this to scroll down, since 2001. I don't think it's going to scroll on your guys' end. Maybe it will. Yep, it will. So what I said here was, despite the NFL adding an extra game in 2021, right? We have one more game now than every year prior to 2021. One more year to beef up, or one more game to beef up stats, right? Despite adding that extra game over the last 3 seasons, okay, since 2001, there's only been 4 seasons where the passing yards leader had less yards than the 2023 leader, which was Tua. Tua had Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. He was the 2023 passing yards leader with 4,624 yards. Prior to 2023, including all those years where there were only 16 games instead of 17 games, only 4 seasons has the passing yards leader had less yards than Tua did in 2023. 2017, 47 yards less. That was Tom Brady. 47 yards less than Tua had this year. 2017. 2006, the passing yards leader had 206 yards less. Certainly makeable in an extra game. 2005, 514 yards less. And 2003, 357 yards less. So we're talking about 23 years, 24 seasons here. And there's only been 4 of them since 2001 where the passing yards leader had less yards than what Tua had this year. The point being, NFL defense is getting harder, not easier. Right? You had Brady and Mahomes hit over 5,000 yards when that extra game was added. Nobody else has done that. We didn't have a 5,000-yard passer this year with an extra game. We had 5,000-yard passers before we added that extra game. It goes to show how much defenses are getting stronger. Mahomes isn't doing this in a defense-deflated era. He's doing it in an era where defenses are getting better. They're getting smarter. They're getting faster. They're getting stronger. They're used to these offenses. Kids are playing flag football as 4-year-olds now.
Well, you're kind of the big. I said this on my show. Here I am pimping my show on your show. Sorry about that. One of the biggest NFL rule changes is adding players to the practice squad and changing the practice squad elements where you can now add veterans. It used to be that you could. It was like you had to have 3 years of NFL experience and then never be a full-year starter. And all these changes, without the NFL knowing, it's really benefited the defense because you lose a defensive lineman. Well, you can get another experienced one. Like that's what San Francisco did. They picked up Randy Gregory. They picked up Chase Young. And you can just add defensive linemen where if the NFL, it's common now where you can just rotate defensive linemen and, play after play after play where you still have the same 5 offensive linemen. The NFL, I don't think, realized that all these rule changes were helping the defense out, not the offense, because the NFL wants to see more scoring because that usually generates better ratings. I'm an old school guy, so this Super Bowl is my favorite one because we have this really great, fun defense that's multifaceted. You don't know what to expect, and to me, that's a lot more entertaining than than the Chiefs leading the NFL in scoring, which we had last year, but they're somewhere in the middle of the pack defensively. And also like the fact that we went against I top to bottom, I thought San Francisco really had the better team, more talent. It's just what do you always say? Head coach quarterback combo. Well, we got number one. That's not a debate. And we also had the better defense. I thought 49ers had more talent. I haven't rewatched the Super Bowl. I've just seen clips. I was under the impression that before you said that the 49ers were just doing a good job. Their front four was doing a real good job against our defense, but then San Francisco, what did they do? They went away from the run. They started blitzing a little more. They made that error, the special teams error. And
Right.
I mean, hey, guess what? You know, we got Mahomes, and he's in the argument for the GOAT status. He really is. I put him on my list probably at 9 right now. Longevity means a lot to me when I do a top 10 of all time list. That's why I got him at 9. But I mean, it's something I'm always going to fuss with, like, you know, because I got number 8 at Brett Favre, and I'm like, well, which one's better? And it's like, you know, peak Mahomes is probably better than peak Favre, but Favre played longer, so. I got to debate about that a little more.
Well, clearly Mahomes needs to be ahead of Favre, and I think you can take you can take your guys who have longevity and you can break them down farther, right? Like if you take down Brett Favre, does his longevity and the fact that he has the NFL record for interceptions like kind of negate some of that longevity? Because it's not like he got that record simply because of his longevity. It's because of how careless he was.
Yeah, no, you got some great points. It's funny because I had a buddy of mine once tell me like, "Oh, Brett Favre, all he did was play for a long time." It's like, do you know how hard that is to play 270 some games? You know, it's not. It's a pretty tough thing to do. So I mean, and that's the whole thing. Like when it comes down to who do you consider the best? You know, like you have the Jordan LeBron conversation. That's the extent of my basketball knowledge. Because, like I said, I'm here in Denver. Everybody's wearing these 15 jerseys. I don't know who the fuck it is. That's so apparently he's a really good basketball player. If I had to play a game 7, I want Jordan, right? But if I was building a team from scratch, or we're just doing like the old school. Did you do this when you line up all your buddies against the wall and I pick you and I pick you?
Yeah.
I would probably pick LeBron over Jordan unless it was game 7. Like if I was building a team, I would want LeBron. If I was like, I don't, Kansas City owns a basketball team. You can pick anybody. I'd probably go with LeBron. But if I had to win game 7, whatever, I'm taking Jordan. So which one's better? You know, to me it's Jordan, but if you want to argue LeBron's better, I wouldn't be mad at you. The thing is, if Mahomes three-peats, and it's so hard, I hope Chiefs fans aren't going, oh yeah, we got 3 in the bag. Right. I really hope not, because it's never been done.
For a reason, right? Just like 20-0 has never been done.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's a question I could have asked, right? What if we three-peat and it's a 20-0 season? Like it would take a lot of work. It would take a lot of work for that to happen. But if you have a 20-0 record and a three-peat, like is that it? Is that mic drop and you just walk off the stage?
It's hard to say. It really is. And there'll be some naysayer if the Chiefs three-peat. They'll say, well, the Packers did 65, 66, 67. And it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not even close. Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? And this is why I think part of the reason a lot of people have said Mahomes doesn't even need to get the amount of rings as Brady, and part of that is just because of how far he is trajectory, and with stats and his ability himself. But I hope I didn't just lose my train of thought here. Shoot, I think I did.
Yeah. Well, you know, let me just do this here. The thing is with Mahomes is that he has 3 Super Bowl MVPs, right? And the thing is, all 3 of them are different. I mean, he won the Super Bowl 3 different ways. The Wasp play on, you know, going deep. That's I mean, that wasn't the play that iced it, but that was really the play that turned everything around. Against the Eagles, they got out to a big lead against the number 1 ranked defense. What was it? What was it? 24-14 at half. 24 points in the second half against the number 1 rated defense. Just, you know, tore them apart. What are we going to remember about this Super Bowl? I remember the run that where he just put his shoulder down, and then, you know, the RPO, or I don't know if that was an RPO or not, but I mean, the thing is though, is like once the 49ers kicked that field goal, you know, it was funny. I took a shower, bringing the Chiefs luck, and I get out and I know the Chiefs won, but even if that, let's just say I listened to the game in silence, I felt pretty good that Mahomes was going to win that game. Like, it's like, yeah, we got the guy, man. And it's just awesome. As far as, you know, Mahomes is doing things nobody's ever done before. And I mean, it just, if you're a Chiefs fan, just please don't think that, oh, 3-peats. It's never been done before. And there's a really, and you nailed it, there's a really good fucking reason. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. You know, you put the over 18 filter on, I hope. I hope you did. I think I left.
I don't remember what my settings were, but I think you helped me remember my point, which is, you know, between Giselle and there's no one out there who really believes that Robert Kraft wasn't giving Tom Brady, you know, the rest of his salary through TB12. You know, it's like the whole salary cap part of it, right? And Mahomes having the highest, you know, being the highest percentage of salary cap last Super Bowl and this Super Bowl, you know, like that in itself, you know, is another thing, because Tom Brady, you know, wasn't that high of a percentage of his team's salary cap. And I think as you win more Super Bowls, like that only gets heightened in a Super Bowl era, which is why ultimately, if there are Green Bay Packers fans who want to try to argue such a thing as a 3-peat when they weren't even playing a Super Bowl, right? Like, it's pretty clear you're not 3-peating as Super Bowl champions, because there was no such thing as a Super Bowl when you won the first one.
Exactly.
So it's not even
there will be somebody who does that though. I promise you.
There's already people who are Packers fans doing it preemptively on Twitter, which is like, listen, God, we're not going back to the 1950s. We're not going back to the 1920s. No. Like, nobody cares before the NFL was, you know, yeah, the history is cool, but it's not. I mean, what are we talking about? USL now, you know, XFL, USFL, Canadian Football League. Like, are we really going to go here with this? Like, do not try to equate these two things as being the same thing. It's not even close. But if somebody really wanted to make that argument, okay, fine. So it's been 70 years since this has happened, and it wasn't even a legitimate, it didn't even legitimately happen. Okay, you're just adding on to how amazing it would be to do a 3-peat. Right?
I feel like I have to be a Debbie Downer again. I always feel like I'm Debbie Downer on the show. Like, if you're a Chiefs fan, just realize it's so hard to do. It's so hard. And the 99ers had the best chance. They really did. They were the better team. They just got outcoached. They really did. Bill Parcells put on a masterclass. And then what they did in the Super Bowl is common sense in today's game, but Parcells and Belichick decided, hey, if the team's going to play a hurry-up offense, let's just put more defensive backs out there. And it's common sense now, but nobody ever did that before. and but I mean, I'm not detracting anything from Brady, and I don't think you are either. But
No,
Mahomes enters the conversation. I think he already is in that conversation. I have Brady as number one. I do, and I had Brady as number two behind Johnny U for the longest time, and finally I was like, no, he deserves to be the GOAT. Mahomes has entered that conversation already, and this Chiefs dynasty is just awesome. And even if we don't three-peat, like don't be mad. I mean, there's a chance in 2025, and I just want to throw this out there. AFC versus NFC. The AFC is so much harder. It really is. I mean, 4 trailers in the NFC, 4 tractors in the AFC. By the way, these teams did not make the playoffs last year. The Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. That's going to be a team I'm scared of. Look at Jacksonville. They fired their defensive coordinator. They're going to get a high draft pick. What are they going to do? That's another team. Look at the Jets. What if Aaron Rodgers comes back to like 85% of what he could be? Our boy Breece Hall plays even better, and that defense is young and loaded. I just described a 15-win team. Like that's those 3 teams didn't even make the playoffs last year.
And our schedule is only going to get harder.
I don't know if you saw it. We played Baltimore. We played San Francisco. Oh God, there's one. I know we play those 2 just right off the top of my head, and then of course we play all the AFC West opponents. We have a brutal schedule.
Yeah,
like this. I mean, listen, guys, enjoy this because it's rare that it happens. It's super rare, and it's awesome. And I'm gloating. I'm here in Denver, and I'm gloating and being a complete. No, I'm not. But I'll be in Vegas in a few days. I'll be gloating. I'm a Chiefs fan, and hey, don't forget, you guys won a Super Bowl. What was it, 1980? What? I'll get in a lot of trouble out there. So, but enjoy the dynasty. It is and by the way, there is no. Somebody tried telling it, it's not a dynasty. No, it's a dynasty.
It's 100% a dynasty. It's
not a debate. This is a dynasty. There's only a handful of them. I'll tell you, Buffalo had a dynasty. I'm in the minority. You don't have to agree, and that's fine. But there's only been a few of them in NFL history. We're part of one, and it's just awesome. And I'll be honest, I'm holding on to it. That said, though, like I'm looking into the draft, and I'm like going through draft stuff. I was looking at several mock drafts earlier today, and I'm excited about the draft as well. But I'm a draft junkie. Are you guys going to be doing draft stuff this year, or do you know?
We haven't talked about it. I don't know if we will or not, but
I will be live on the draft. And I really hope that I can get you guys, if you don't want to do the whole 6 or 6.5 hours, if you guys want to come on for even just an hour, or like just when the Chiefs pick and talk about the pick, I would love it. Just throwing it out there, because I will be doing the whole first round live, and I won't have my first mock draft till after the combine, which will end. I haven't figured it out yet if I'm gonna do it like on Monday or Tuesday or whatever, but early March will be my first mock draft. So it'll be fun. But I mean, but for right now, I just want to enjoy this, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm having fun. I'm gonna enjoy it and be a jerk in Denver and in Vegas. So making Chiefs fans look bad for everybody.
Here, let's see if I can throw this up. 2024 schedule. So those are the teams that we play. We have the Ravens at home, Bengals at home, Broncos, Texans, Raiders, Chargers, of course, AFC West foes, Saints and Buccaneers all at home. The away
Texans
team
could be a fun team. The Texans Oh, well, Texans, Ravens, Bengals, those are 3 tough ones.
At least we get those ones at home. On the road, though, we get to, if you want to say it that way, we get to play the Falcons and the Panthers, the Bills,
Oh, we go to
Browns,
Buffalo?
Broncos,
God.
Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, and
You
49ers.
know, it's funny because I tell people the NFL loves the Chiefs, and I've stopped doing that because I got sick of hearing all this conspiracy theory stuff, but I really got sick of it. But I mean, I did always wonder, like, how come we're always hosting Buffalo and now it's flipped, and I'm gonna laugh when we beat Buffalo in Buffalo, and I hope we do. I think that. Every fan base has some good fans. Every fan base has some bad ones. I think we're quick to remember the bad ones, but there are some really just god awful Bills fans. That's just like, kind of has me hating that franchise a little bit. But I hope we beat Buffalo. And tables everywhere hopes that the Chiefs win that game. The dumbest thing of any sports fan base is the Bills breaking tables like that. It's just ridiculously stupid. So
yeah, and there's a schedule, or there's a formula that they use to determine home and away, and so it just kind of happens that way sometimes. But
yeah, it's been we've kind of lucked out. I'll be honest, but yeah, I mean, it's a brutal schedule. And so, like, Chiefs fans, if you're mad that we don't nobody else has ever done it. I could, if you really want to, I could break down. I think I have all of them memorized, but just take my word for it. It's a lot of luck, and you got to stay healthy. One thing about this Chiefs Super Bowl team is that we got really lucky by staying healthy, especially compared to a team like Buffalo. Buffalo was decimated with injuries. Baltimore had a lot of injuries. Cincinnati, of course, Burrow. It's like every other year he gets hurt for the whole year. This season he's going to be healthy. Apparently, it's like every even number year he stays healthy. So this is year 6. So this is the year he plays 17. I mean, knock on wood. I mean, I don't want anybody getting hurt, but I have to admit that Bengals team's scary. I know you think he's a system quarterback, but that's
yep. Wait till Jake Browning takes his job. No,
that would be, wouldn't that wouldn't just be awesome? And you're higher on Callahan going to Tennessee than I am. The Bengals' former offensive coordinator. To me, I'm looking at Will Levis and I'm looking at Joe Burrow, and I'm like, these guys aren't even close to the same. Like, that Tennessee's going to be an interesting team to watch. There's a lot of teams I'm kind of circling. Tennessee's one of them because the head coach quarterback combo looks like a square peg in a round hole. But we'll see what he does because Levis has got talent. He's got lots of talent. He's just never been that guy. He just goes back 50, 60 times a game and tears you apart. So. We'll see what happens with Tennessee. You know what, you just put it up there, and I didn't even I don't think we play Tennessee this year.
no.
That's a team that's going to be very interesting this offseason. There's several teams I'm kind of eyeballing this offseason, but
So we play 6 games against the AFC West. This year on the rotation, we play the NFC South. So that's 10 of your games. The other 8 games, I believe, are made up of the other division winners, which is how you get 49ers. Wait, were the Lions on there? 49ers.
No, Lions were not on there, but you get the 49ers. You get the Ravens. You get the Bills. And the reason why, I think the reason why is because we played the NFC North this year. And
yeah, and I just closed out of it.
I can tell you that I have a large Lions following. No, we don't play the Lions this year, but I do want to share something with you though. I was on a Lions show in the chat, and they brought up, so when if the Lions went to the Super Bowl, what would happen? Oh, the Lions would beat the Chiefs, and I'm just like, so the guy from Roar of the Lions that I went on my show. They asked him first, and I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. I feel like a dick because he's phenomenal. He's excellent. He goes, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to answer that question because the Lions didn't get there, and that's the correct answer. The other guys are like, oh, the Lions would win because they won week 1, and I exited because there's common sense and there's common sense, and I was getting ready to fire out, there's 93 reasons, and that was, Kelsey's yardage total, or I don't know Chris Jones' total, but I mean, it was just like, come on, man. You have this great season, and now you're like, oh yeah, we would have won the Super Bowl if we got there and didn't lose. And it's like, no, you great job. Just don't please don't.
It's like there's numerous reasons why trying to justify it doesn't make sense there, right? I mean, the obvious ones was you didn't have Travis Kelce and you didn't have Chris Jones, and you won by 1 point, right? That's all you were able to win by.
Did you notice who was a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl? Kadarius Toney.
Yeah. Yes.
And that was kind of overlooked. I saw Sky Moore was in uniform, but I don't remember him playing at all. But I did see him celebrate in uniform. I don't know what that situation is. And then FAU had that tackle for loss, and I think that might have been his only play in the game. I'd like to see a lot more production out of him next year. I wasn't very fond of that draft pick, but hopefully he proves me wrong.
I think he made a play or two, or had his hand in a couple plays, but like you go back and you look at week 1, and I think the biggest thing that makes it a dumb argument is Travis Kelce hyperextending his knee 2 days before the game. The game plan has already been installed. The game plan revolves around Travis Kelce. But
I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, it was just here's the deal. I was showing some love to the Lions, and then they start on this rant, and I'm just like, okay, well, I got to leave. I'm just not. I'm going to lose IQ points here, and so I'm sharing this with you. I'm just venting here, I mean, I'm like on almost no sleep, and I'll be here for just one night. And I'll be in Vegas Friday, so I'll be destroying Vegas soon, ruining Vegas for Chiefs fans everywhere by being a complete asshole. But that's the type of guy I am.
Well, I think Chiefs fans can do a lot on their own without your help. But yeah, the other thing I would say to that though is, the Super Bowl 55 during that season, the Chiefs beat the Buccaneers. At the end of the game, it was 3, but the Chiefs were up 20-7 at halftime, and Spags went prevent defense, and Andy went really vanilla. The second half of that game, it was a 20. I mean, the Chiefs were blowing them out through the first half, and it wasn't even close.
Tyreek Hill, it was like, I don't know if it was an NFL record, but it was like 200 receiving yards in the first quarter. He had those 2 long touchdowns because they played man for whatever reason. And, they didn't make the adjustments. And then, and you're going to have.
We won that game, so we would have won the Super Bowl, right? We actually played the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that way. Yeah, So there's going to be Brady fans that say Brady over Mahomes because they played each other and Brady won. And it's like, no, that's not really accurate. But
right.
When you're talking earlier about Mahomes entering the GOAT conversation, I think he's already entered the conversation. but I don't have them there yet. Like I said, I did a list a long time ago with my top 10, and Mahomes wasn't on there. I would now put Mahomes at 9. But that could move up during this off season. It could move up after the season. I have to kind of revisit that list. I may make a new video. I you never know.
You know, it's funny if D Ford had lined up on sides, right? And Tom Brady's interception stands, right? People don't want to talk about the fact that he threw an interception there.
Yeah.
The Chiefs win that game, and Patrick Mahomes is playing in his first Super Bowl. Tom Brady has one less Super Bowl, right? So now he only has 6. If Patrick Mahomes had won that Super Bowl, and we have no idea, you know, knowing whether he would have or not, but all of a sudden, Tom Brady only has 6 Super Bowls and Patrick Mahomes has 4. Or if Tom Brady doesn't go to a loaded Buccaneers team, Tom Brady has 5 Super Bowls and Patrick Mahomes has 4. All of a sudden, you know, that's a huge difference.
But
you know,
I got Brady as the GOAT, and I think, you know, his career is amazing, and what he's done is just phenomenal. I'm just, is it possible Mahomes is going to be better? Yeah, absolutely. And if you sit here and you say, no, it's not possible, or whoever that guy was, that like, oh, he's LeBron, Michael, and Russell. No, he's not. But you can make that argument that Mahomes belongs in the conversation. I wouldn't put him there yet, but I mean, what does he need to do to get there? I don't have an answer. I will say this though: if he gets a three-peat, like you have to say who else did it. And football's a collective thing. Like Andy Reid deserves credit, Kelsey deserves credit, the defense deserves credit, Spags deserves credit. I mean, it goes everywhere, but ultimately, you know, 20 years from now, if the Chiefs repeat, they're going to say, well, it's the Patrick Mahomes three-peat. That's what they're going to call it, and they'll use that as the argument to make him the GOAT, and it's a valid one. So.
yeah, and you know, again, I'm not trying to make the point that he is the GOAT. I'm trying to make the point he's closer. But the point in saying that is, you know, one of the big arguments that I've seen lately is trying to diminish Mahomes' Super Bowls now by saying, oh, luck's been involved, right? Well, what do you call being Tom Brady playing in a Super Bowl where your opponent loses their whole offensive line?
You can go through NFL history and look at Super Bowl winners, and there's been an essence of luck in almost all of them. Go back. Matter of fact, I thought.
Well, even Patriots Giants, the David Tyree catch.
The helmet. Okay, probably the greatest Super Bowl of all time, Super Bowl 13, and the most famous play of that is I forgot his name. Jackie. I can't remember. I want to say Jackie. Anyway, Hall of Fame tight end, the very last play of his career, dropping a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. And the announcer goes, it's the sickest man in America. I can't believe I can't think of the guy's name. But anyway, he catches that touchdown. The score was 35-31. It's a tie ball game. Who knows? Does Captain Comeback beat Bradshaw in that game? Nobody knows. Joe Montana, when 88, 89, 90, Joe Montana throws an interception in the end zone. Drawing a blank on Hanford Dixon. If Hanford Dixon holds on to the ball, the Bengals win that game. The very next play, Montana to John Taylor for a touchdown. Is it not luck that a guy drops an interception in the end zone? It's exactly what happened. And you could go through Super Bowl history. There's
Russell Wilson's interception.
Russell, yeah.
That was against Tom Brady. How was that not luck for Tom Brady? Tom Brady wasn't even on the field for it.
No.
Right?
No.
So how's that not luck for Tom Brady? Rams, Titans.
You can go through Super Bowl history, and luck is a small part in a lot of these really, really close Super Bowls, and one play could have swayed it either way. Norwood makes a 47-yard field goal. Who knows? Who knows? We're talking about the Bills maybe being the greatest dynasty of all time. Maybe they win 4 straight. Nobody knows. Nobody. I mean, it's luck. Luck has something to do with it, but it's also, I when the Chiefs beat the Niners the first time, I said it, and Niners fans hated me for it, but I stand by it. They really just weren't that good of a team. They really weren't. The Chiefs should have won that Super Bowl by 20, at least 20. They didn't even play that good of a game, still beat them by 11. This team was a really good football team. And I kept on saying all year, CMC's not going to play 17 games, and he did. Brock Purdy's going to get hurt, and I think he missed 1 game. I think Darnold played 1 game. They went on a 3-game losing streak when Trent Williams went down. Then he comes back, and they're fine. I know Deebo Samuel got banged up, and I think Ayuk got banged up, but I mean,
as Chiefs fans, we don't care. We were without our All-Pro left guard, right?
I think he's our best lineman. That's my opinion.
I think that's a fair assessment. You're paying him $20 million a year for a reason as a left guard. And part of that is because he's helping out your center and he's helping out your left tackle. And he's fabulous at passing guys on and picking up the right guys. Like they're in a pinch, he can play left tackle for you when you need him to.
It's one of the small moves that people really overlook is that was the guy that we took from New England that really kind of sunk them because they spent so much draft capital on trying to fix that. And they never did. And it was a brilliant move. I don't know who was in charge of that, if that was an Andy Reid special or Brett Veach or a combination, but very underrated, great move in free agency by getting Joe Thuney. Yeah, you're right. He didn't play.
You take Charles Omenihu getting injured in that AFC Championship game because, listen, the defensive line wrecked that offensive line enough without Omenihu. You add Omenihu in there to where FAU's not playing and you're getting a lot less snaps out of, Tershawn Wharton and other guys. It's a much different story. Karlaftis, Jones, Charles Omenihu as 3 out of your 4 defensive linemen is a much different dynamic because of how he can rush inside or out.
You know what? It just occurred to me, we didn't even talk about what a great game Karlaftis had.
We have about 3 episodes that we'll have to use to talk about this Super Bowl, especially since Aaron didn't even show up.
Yeah, I brought up Leo Chenal because I absolutely love what they're doing with him. Like, what position does he play? Nobody fucking knows. I mean, he's like a sometimes corner, safety. He lines up at defensive end. He's a middle linebacker. Nobody fucking knows. And in the Super Bowl, he had a great game. Karlaftis had a great game. Mike Pennell had a great game. That's a guy I'd love to see stay in Kansas City. He probably does take a legitimate. It doesn't mean anything new. He went to high school in Grandview, which is a suburb of Kansas City. So Aaron,
he wasn't even playing until the end of October.
Yeah,
no team. He was at home.
Blue Springs. Okay, I was going to say. Never mind. I got my geography mixed up. I was going to say Aaron lives in Blue Springs. Grandview's like almost next to Blue Springs. So where Aaron is about like 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes away from where Grandview High School plays. So Mike Purnell went to Grandview. So local kid wins the Super Bowl. He's a guy that would probably take a hometown discount. Because you said earlier, I don't believe in hometown discounts. I think there's exceptions, but I don't think Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed are taking them. That's the one thing I want to point out is I don't think those two guys are taking hometown discounts because I think those two guys are going to command a buttload of money.
And I think the big thing to point out to people is that when like people have this idea that you're a hometown discount, right? Like to them, a hometown discount is a lot less money. And I think what Dan's saying is like that's what's not going to happen.
Exactly.
If it's Kansas City at $1 or $2 million less a year, or $5, maybe $10 million total guaranteed less over the life of a contract versus the Bears, that's a completely different story. And I don't.
Yeah,
you're not saying that, Dan.
No.
Like
I say okay. Denzel Ward a couple years ago signed I think it was 5 years, $101 million for the Browns. All right. If the Bears offer L'Jarius Sneed 5 years, 110, he's not coming to Kansas City for 5 years, 60. But would he take 5 years at 102 versus 110? Yeah. So like, in that case, yeah, he would take a hometown discount. But I mean, people think like it's one thing about one thing I've learned over YouTube is that every fan base thinks that their team. There's Carolina Panthers fans talking. Brian Burns will take a hometown discount. Why? Why would he take a hometown discount to stay in Carolina? No, he's not doing that. But if like it was 110 million with the Bears and 105 with Kansas City, would Snead stay in Kansas City? Sure. But is he going to pay for 60% less? I'm sorry, 30-40% less. No, Chris Jones isn't signing for 10 million a year if he can make 30 million somewhere else. I mean, he's not doing that. And then I'll know Big Chief Shawn was mad at Tyreek Hill. It's like it's only 5 million a year. I was like, I'm pretty sure I would go to Miami for 5 million a year. That's not that small of a deal. 25 and 30 million. That's kind of a big number. I don't blame Tyreek Hill for that.
I don't think it's that big of a number, but where it does become a big of a number is Missouri tax rate versus Florida tax rate. Yeah. And that's where it becomes a big number.
Well, actually, it's funny because he lived in Kansas, so he's paying Kansas taxes.
Okay, Kansas tax versus.
Especially in Overland Park, where it's like almost 10%. Where Florida,
there's nothing in Florida, so anything, right? Like that's bonus being in Florida. The weather itself is a bonus.
Yeah, and also he can, there's no marinas to beat up people at. I mean that's not. Here I am saying we shouldn't dog Tyreek, and I just did. I'm a dick. I'm a dick. I better get off of here. I'm getting.
Yeah, I got to go to bed. I'm way past my bedtime.
All right, hey Keith, thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Talk football, and I won't be live Friday. I'll be in Vegas, but I should be live Tuesday if you're free. And I'm able to get set up. I'd love for you to come on. Just let me know.
All right, I'll holler back with you, let you know, but. Yeah, thanks for being on here tonight, Dan. Guys, make sure you check out Dan's channel, Dan Talks Football. And on behalf of Gooch, who probably had to go back to work where he's saving restaurants, and Aaron, who's probably getting ready for work at this point, I want to thank you guys for watching this show.
Doing something awesome for Valentine's Day.
Could be. I doubt it. No. Thank you guys for watching this show. Don't forget to give us a like and make sure you tune in next week as we will be back.
You got your team and we got a kingdom. Ready for war, we score at will. We're the Super Bowl champs, the king of the hill.